What is up, winners? Today we're going to be taking a bird's eye look at what it takes to win with money over your entire life. So as I was thinking this week about where I want this channel to go in the future, it became clear that I need to establish a macro level blueprint of what it takes to win with money. So my goal for this video is that you would come away with a clearer idea of where you are in the process and also what you need to do to get to that next level. This process is what I'm calling the 4 phases of building wealth slowly. And I love that name because just like building wealth, it's not glamorous, it's not sexy, it just works. So let's get into it. Phase 1. Track your spending. Only 30% of Americans have a clear idea of where their money is going, but without that understanding, the rest of this process will be almost impossible. So knowing what you're spending on and what your money habits are will be the foundation for any modifications that you need to make going forward. This step is all about self-awareness. It's a lot like the weigh-in before a diet or exercise routine. It probably is going to hurt a little bit realizing just where you are and how far you have to go, but it's absolutely imperative so that you'll be able to track your progress along the way. And there are multiple ways that you can do this. You can use checking your bank statements or your credit card statements or a written expense log, or all 3 if you want. The point is that you have an accurate idea of just where your money is going so that you can graduate to phase 2. Phase 2. Stop buying crap you don't need.
Ah, yes, Caleb, I know what you're talking about. You mean saving more money.
Wrong. I'm not talking about saving money, I'm talking about a day of reckoning for many of your basic necessities. And I think you know what I'm talking about, don't you? I'm talking about expensive cars with payment plans. I'm talking about extravagant vacations and fancy lattes and this year's iPhone and $100 a month cable packages. Guys, if you don't have an emergency fund, if you're not paying off debt, if you are not saving for retirement, you cannot afford these things. This phase might be the most difficult of all because it involves a complete shift in your mentality from I'll save what I can after I'm done spending to I'll spend what I have left after I've saved everything that I need to. And guys, don't get me wrong, this phase is not about complete self-denial from the things that bring you joy, but it is about being strategic. One of my favorite Dave Ramsey quotes is that personal finance is 20% head knowledge and 80% behavior. I think that's absolutely the case, and because of that, I recognize the importance of giving yourself small rewards along the way to keep yourself motivated. So what it comes down to is budgeting for those small rewards that give you the most joy for the cost and ruthlessly slashing everything else. So here's a good example of that from my life. I freaking love Chipotle. Like, when I die, I want my ashes to be buried in a Chipotle burrito bowl, okay? That's how much I love it. So even though Erica and I are in a stage of life where we're saving a lot for our house as much as possible, I'll still take some of my pocket money each month and designate it for Chipotle because I know that that $7 is going to bring me way more than $7 worth of enjoyment and motivation. So the summary here is budgeting for those small treats that bring you the most joy and slashing everything else. And then using that money that you save to put towards phase 3, which is paying off your debt. Phase 3. Pay down your debt. Guys, this is phase number 3 in the process because it is incredibly difficult to build wealth while you're trapped under a bunch of other monthly financial obligations like credit card payments and car loans and student loans and medical bills. Guys, consumer debt is an epidemic in the US, and it doesn't help that there's a $150 billion industry set up to sell us more of it. But if you can fundamentally change your money habits and take the money that you used to spend on short-term pleasures and designate it all to paying off that debt, you will be amazed at how quickly you can make progress. And there are a couple different methods of doing this for those of us who have multiple different kinds of debt. My personal favorite is the snowball approach, which basically means taking your debts and listing them out smallest to largest and tackling them in that order. I'm a big fan of that approach because it is another way of harnessing the power of small victories as you come closer and closer to being debt-free. The best advice that I can offer in this phase is to know what motivates you most and leverage that into execution. What I mean by that is, if it's your family, then put a picture of them up by your running debt balance, or if it's competition, then get a friend or two who's on this same journey and race them to the finish line. Or if it's traveling more, then get creative and make a collage of the places that you want to go and put it somewhere you'll see every day. The point is harnessing whatever it is that naturally drives you to motivate you to win in this phase. And you'll know that you're ready to move on once you've paid off everything except for your house. But if you want to do that too, it's never a bad idea. Phase 4. Invest. Alright guys, this is where things really start to get rolling and you begin what will hopefully be a lifelong process of putting your money to work for you. Now, there are countless ways to put your money to work for you, and I'll cover a couple of my favorites in a future video, but I think a great place to start is just taking advantage of your employer's 401k match if you have one. After that, I really love tax-favored retirement vehicles like Roth IRAs and traditional IRAs. And after that, it's pretty wide open. You could go the real estate route, or you could invest more in a business you've been wanting to build, or you could just put more into the market. The opportunities really are endless at this point. Now, in all the investing avenues that I just mentioned, there are two things that are really important to keep in mind. The first one is to keep your risk level appropriate for your age and when you want to retire. You don't want to have all your money tied up in risky investments when you're only going to retire in 5 years, because there's a chance that you could lose a significant chunk of it right at the wrong time. The second is being willing to ride out the waves. What I mean by that is, whether you're investing in real estate or the stock market or peer-to-peer lending or whatever, there are going to be times when the value of that asset drops. And if you're not willing to ride out the ups and downs and you panic when the value goes down, you're going to lose every time. That's why so many people lose money in the market, and why Warren Buffett gives the advice to all investors of being fearful when others are greedy and greedy when others are fearful. Well guys, there you have it. That is what it takes to win with money in a nutshell. I hope that this was helpful for you, and if you don't have a clear idea at this point of where you are in the process, or you have any questions for me, please leave me a comment, shoot me a message. I would love nothing more than to get with you and to help you through anything you might be dealing with. And guys, today's community cue is this: what phase are you in right now, and what can you do to get to the next one? What's your strategy? What's your game plan? Fill me in, I'd love to know about it. And guys, as always, start now. Phase 1, track your spending. Phase 1. Phase 1. Whoa.